Hello, this is Marcy, and I am excited to start a new video today, and this one about color. For those of you who have been following my tutorials, you will notice that we are using the tree in a landscape for this particular video. And this will be all about marker and colored pencils. As always, we'll be talking about shapes, value, color, and details. Today, we will be using these materials: a Posca acrylic white marker, or any kind of white acrylic marker that you have. And we are going to be using, because we try to use things we have around the house, we're just going to be using a set of these colored pencils. And they're just very limited colors. We have yellow, green, blue, a couple of greens here, and a purple and a darker blue. So if you've got some colored pencils around the house, you can grab these colors. And I'm going to close the door so we don't hear the train. So to get you started, if you refer back to how to draw a tree in a landscape, you will see this particular drawing that we did. So today we're going to be coloring right over the pencil drawing with marker and colored pencils. And what I really want to show you is how these allow me to do that. It gives you such flexibility. You don't have to worry about mistakes because there really aren't any with these materials. And because this was just a drawing, I had to have some kind of reference for color. So this is my reference for color. I printed off some kind of an Impressionist painting just to give me a color scheme to work with. And we will be talking about a secret technology tip a little bit later on. But in the meantime, we're going to get started. So here are the colors of our colored pencils. We've got this light green, a green blue, and any of these you can mix together. You'll be seeing that right on this page. No mistakes. I got a purple, a lighter blue, and a yellow. So just a real basic set of these colored pencils. So let's get started and see what we can do here. So I'm going to start with, for some reason, I always start with my darkest darks. So I'm coloring right over these darkest darks with my colored pencil. Just like I always do, I don't think a lot. This will probably be a little bit longer than a 20-minute tutorial today. So I might split it up in two. But we're not gonna work real hard on anything as usual. I'm just filling things in and using this as a reference. So if I'm looking at my darkest dark here, it's almost like a blue-green dark. I've got a reference to use for color. You could use a magazine photo. But what you're looking for, as always, when you work with me, I am looking at what's dark and what isn't. And here comes the technology tip. If I took a picture of this and in color, and then I put a filter on it that was grayscale, I would see where the darkest darks and lightest lights are. Now, as I'm coloring this, there's a good chance I am going to accidentally lose my values, my lights and darks. If I take a photo of that in black and white, or put a black and white filter on it, I will instantly see where those lights went. Those are essential to keep when you're drawing. And when you do color, it obscures that. You're sometimes not quite sure what you're seeing. So rather than going into all of this color theory, we have some easier ways to do it, and we have our phone to take a picture. So let's keep going. All right. Okay. And I let what's below help me with the dark. as it is. So I'm going to do this. This is that cast shadow. And if you recall, if you were with me in these other videos, cast shadow is your darkest dark. And we're layering this again, so there are no mistakes. You're going to go back over and over it. So let's pop this up to a lighter green in these areas. Now let me show you a trick with that. So let's say I only got this darker green here. Okay, I'm going to do this, keeping it kind of lighter. I know where it is. Wow, I really don't have this yellow green like I have here, do I? But what I do have is a yellow colored pencil. There it is. So I'm going to go over that, and it's going to bring that up more toward that yellow. And bear with my messiness, that's part of it, because I want you to feel that you can do the same thing, that art is not some magical perfection, because it isn't. It's a lot of it, you will be experimenting to find your own way. That's how I found my own way, and I just hope I can help lead you along that little path of your way. Not my way, but yours will emerge from this. Okay. Another way I do it, I'm always pulling all these colors together at once, because every single color in this relates to every other one. I need to see them all kind of coming together at one time, kind of like a cake mix. I need to know what's going on here. So here's this little purple in the background here. And I'm totally messy. So I don't even think I have a purple with, nope, there it is. Here's my purple. So I'm going to just lightly color this in. Doesn't even really look purple, but it is. Have at it, folks. Enjoy. That's what it's all about. And I'm also going to, because it's a dark, I'm going to put it down here. That purple is the darkest, and I know my cast shadows are the darkest. So that means I might want to put a little bit of that purple in here. Now let me show you something with this Posca marker. This is a white acrylic paint marker. Essentially, it's got white acrylic paint in, the kind you put on the wall. This tool blends stuff. So watch what happens when I use this white marker. I'm going to go right down here and do this too. You're going to see it blending this purple into something else. Okay, now I'm going to stop. I'm going to leave that there for you to look at. And I'm going to go back in here again with these. Now this isn't so much of a basic skills as it is part of the technique that I have taught myself, which are these markers and colored pencils. But again, this is something you can do at home. There's nothing magical going on here. Okay. So now I've got some lights and darks going on here. I want the entire tree to look some shade of green. So I'm going to use this green pencil I have right here, and I'm going to take it over the entire drawing. And I'm pushing really hard. And you should, at this point, you're going to start to see something look like something. Okay. This is a technique. Nobody taught me this. See, it's not super specific. But the reason I like it, I can't make a mistake because I can always keep layering. So I'm going to even take the green down in here. I know that in that shadow there's probably some green. That's the knowledge part. Okay. Those are starting to look a little bit like trees. How about this path? So I'm still looking at this guy. This tells me all these colors work together because they look okay here. So I want that path to be kind of a yellow. That's the path coming forward that leads you into the painting. So I'm going to make it yellow. I'm using that little yellow pencil. I'm trying to use as few tools as possible to show you it doesn't take $1 million worth of fancy art materials to create something at your house. Now I'm looking over here again. I'm always looking at my reference. I see these greens over here. I don't know if they're going to look good here or not, but I'm going to give it a shot. Again, I know, don't worry about my mistakes. So I'm going to bring those, just pretend that's grass. I have no idea, but whatever. We're going to make it some grass here. And over here, that's a little bit darker. And you know, you're going to see along the path here, haha, no pun intended, there's some really ugly stages. I mean, it's like, ew, God, that's horrible. What is that? That's part of it. And moving beyond that and having faith in yourself that you're going to go past that is part of the effort in art. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the sky. Let me get my sky in real quick. It's that light blue colored pencil I was telling you about. I'm going to get this out of my way. Okay. Here's something I know about the sky. The sky is always a little bit lighter toward the bottom of the horizon because there's a little bit more moisture that we're seeing through. There's a little bit of knowledge for you, so you can take that around. So I'm going to use this again. I'm going to blend that sky. So this thing does so much. I have a bunch of these. So they're not that expensive. I think they're $2 or $3 a piece. So I get a bunch of them. So I'm going to blend that sky. I'd be going a lot slower. I wouldn't do it a tutorial. Bam. So we're going a little bit quick here. All right. Okay, we're looking like something. Now, I also know that this blue carries down into here. Just gonna make it a little bit darker. Gonna do that. Stay with me on this. It's coming to something. I'm still using the same set of colored pencils that I showed you. Blue, purple, yellow, green, and that one white acrylic marker. Okay. I know this is a little bit darker. When I want darker, I know purple is darker than green. I use that purple. It's a little bit darker than green. I'm going to use it. By blending your colors a little bit throughout the piece as well, you get a consistent piece where all of the things, it's not like the sky is just blue or the tree is just green. When it has a little bit of all your colors in it, it makes for a cohesive piece of art. So let's say I even bring a little bit of the blue down here. Okay, now I have to pay attention to my lights and darks. What about over here? This looks pretty light. I'm not sure. I also want this darker. I'm not sure that I want this to be totally green. Not real excited about the green. I feel like it almost wants to be yellower. So this is part of my, willingness to experiment, because I know I can go backwards. And this is lighter. I'm going to put it in yellow. Now my path, it's the lightest part. It's walking you in. So I want to blend that white up into here and walk you right into this with this white. And another thing I want you to hear me say, if I say, oh, that's not working for me, I will try something else. I'm not a magician. I am willing to experiment, and I always have been. Oh my gosh, that was a big blob. Oh well, who cares? So for me, the willingness to do it wrong and just give it a shot, and you see I'm scribbling away, has always been what will take me to a finished piece. Wow, I notice over here, this is a lot darker, those yellows. Not going to worry about that just yet. I want to go up here and finish the sky. And also, I'm going to stop just for a second, because my phone filming only goes so long, and then it will cut me off. So I'm going to take a break, and we'll be right back. I'm not going to change a thing. And I will ask myself, well, what's the difference? When I'm doing a video and talking with you, I don't check nearly as often. So I'm looking at this. What's the difference? Well, there's a lot of differences. I'd say that the tree colors are looking, they're pretty good. They're not bad at all. This, not so much, huh? There's a lot more deeper purple and pink here. This is where I stop and reevaluate. And wow, down here, a lot more green. And I'm still not sure about that. But first of all, let's get this color to where it needs to be, this purple. And let's see if that will work out for us. So let's go right in and do that and see if we can pull that to this level at all. We may not be able, I may have to use a pinker pencil there. And as I also recall, if I used my cheat photograph, as I mentioned at the beginning, that this was a lighter shade than this over here. But just for fun, let's see if I can take this to that color. Let's see, do I have a pink anywhere? Oh, pink. Here's a pink. So let's see if I can go there with this. Kind of get there. Yes, it will go there. Okay. So let's just say I'm going to like that color. That color will work for me. I think it's too dark. Again, I go back and forth between darks and lights, darks and lights. I also see that this sky is so much darker. So what does that tell me? I need to go darker for this sky. How do I do that? I just go darker. I'm going to go darker. So what you're looking at is a process with these tools. And I'm showing you quickly how I do it. Actually, it makes me a more competent artist to have to show you this quickly. I don't get all weirded out about everything I'm doing. So I'm gonna, that's a darker sky. I think I'm getting close. For me, darks and lights, folks. Darks and lights will make a good painting. You lose it without them. So we're getting close. Now I see that works. That's the same level of darkness, but in my personal initial painting, that was lighter. So I'm going to hang in there and see what happens if I want that color that at this moment, or as we go through here. Okay. Now let's see if we can't pull the bottom part together. The top's getting to be a little bit of something. Now here's my thought process. I want you to hear what I think. I see this blue. My brain is telling me I need some of this blue down here. There is blue in a lot of greens. There's a ton of blue in here. I see it. And I know it. In the shadows of greens, there's a lot of blue. So I'm going to pull it in here like this to darken those up. This is my experience. Okay. And it way down here in this corner, it's super dark. So, wow, that's really blue. Weird looking, huh? But that's okay, because I can go right over it with green and make it another color. Hang in there with me. I know it all looks totally weird right now. That's where you're hanging in there with me. So what am I going to do now? This looks really weird. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this. What color is that compared to this? This is so much more intense and so much darker. How do I get there from here? I'm letting you see how I think. Well, if I had to pick a colored pencil and not think about color mixing and all that jazz, I would pick brown. I see brown. I'm going to do that. So I don't want you to get all twisted with color mixing. You know, this is a class for everybody who's at home. So let's find a brown colored pencil that's hopefully sharpened, and let's do it. So let's do that. So to me, it's brown. And, you know, if you're in an art class, they'd be talking about what you mix together, but we're not. We're here. So all of a sudden, I'm seeing something that works better because I've got this sample over here that's helping me out. And I'm liking that more. So I'll just do it there too. I don't like that sharp edge. I'm going to get rid of it. I want to kind of blend that out. So we're getting close to something that, again, I think looks like something. Hanging in there with me. Do we have maybe brown over here? Probably. In that tree trunk. I'm going to put it in. That brown, they would tell you, it's a warm brown. Put it up here in those darks. Okay. Now I'm looking at this thing over here again. And I'm saying, oh, that's so much smoother down here. I'm going to smooth it out. Now what I would actually do, I would probably use one of my other art markers. But I'm going to do this. Just because I want you to see me do it just with these colored pencils. And one marker. and I want to lighten this bottom sky up. And I want to lighten this up. To me, I think in this landscape, this is lighter. I'm going to actually do that. I need to blur that out and lighten that a bit. Okay. Now we're hitting what I'm going to call the details. These are when you refine this piece, which is getting, no, it's not there yet, but it's getting close to where I now will start refining it to make it look like I want it to look. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to explain to you what I did rather than have you watch me scribble on it for the next 10 minutes. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I did to bring it to kind of a close. So we stay close to 20 minutes or a half an hour here. Be right back. Remember, we started out with these colored pencils. And I didn't change these. I added one brown. So we had the greens and the purples, the blue and the yellow. So it took me about 10 minutes between the last time I talked to you to get to this stage. And you're thinking, oh, well, maybe not so hot. But before I complete this, because I'm going to do that and complete this with the markers and show you how that process takes us further, I want you to look at what my attempt to do was, what I've done. Rather than change colors and do anything different, I used the same colors I started with. But what I always am looking for here is the darks and the lights. And by consistently using the same set of colored pencils throughout this, and it's not finished, I get a cohesive color scheme. In other words, like all the colors seem to go together because they're all blended in here. And what does that again is that look for the darks and the lights. And I want to just show you in this corner and right here, every color is in there to get it that dark. And here, every color. And they're all just scribbled and layered over. So again, for me as an artist, the concentration on darks and lights is what takes the piece to where it needs to go. Even up here in this area, there's yellow and green and purple. And then I use that white marker. These are my techniques to kind of blend it a little bit into this. So I am going to, that's what I did. I used all of my pencils and I really pushed toward the darks and the lights. And I allowed there to be lots of different greens. In nature, there are a lot of greens. These colors aren't precise. But again, darks and lights. Now I'm going to stop again. And now I'm going to use my set of markers. I mentioned I have a set of Posca markers. And I'm going to finish this piece and show you quickly. I'm going to do it today. Now I'm back for the final part of this, and it's taken me about 15 minutes, and I used 2 markers to refine this. I used that spectacular white one, and I used a gray one to give me some blending and toning in certain areas. So I only used these 2 markers, and then I went in again with those same colored pencils and just, as you can see, it looks, I scribbled myself to a finish. And, you know, this is one of the more dynamic looking pieces when I'm really leaving all of those marks from the colored pencils and markers on the page. Then there are others that I totally smooth completely out. But the neat thing about the markers and colored pencils is I can choose to go either way. I can get it like a sketchy, almost Van Gogh-ish. I don't know if it's Van Gogh. There are a lot of other Impressionists that had a real sketchy look. Or I can smooth it completely out. So here is my sample. And I'm not right on, and I don't care, again, because this is my art. But I want you to see that I'd say within 45 minutes with those colored pencils and markers, I could come to this point, which, you know, has a look of an Impressionist painting. It's very simple. But I will be leaving links to everything I used, and I will be leaving a link also to the initial drawing for this. And in next lessons, we'll be going on to talk about how I use the markers and colored pencils together, you know, in a more expanded way than I did today. So thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you next time. This is Marcy signing off.